Hey Girls Camp, it's Peppo here. Welcome to day 1 of Girls Camp, virtual camp. We are so excited to spend the summer with you. Unfortunately, it can't be in person, but I'm very happy that at least we can hang out and get together in this way. So today on day 1, we're doing some arts and crafts, and the first activity we're going to do is a canoe paddle out of cardboard. So as you can see, I'm actually standing right in the canoe slips right now. There's canoes on either side. Woo, there's the shoal lake out in front. Woo, so because of that, we thought what would be more fun than trying to make our own paddles, because probably a lot of you don't have your own paddles. So this is a really fun way that we can still stay connected with canoeing and stuff like that, but not necessarily with the proper equipment. So we're going to build a paddle, and we're going to use this as inspiration. Clearly our paddle probably can't be that big because it's very hard to find a piece of cardboard that's this big. So we're going to do a slightly smaller one. I have a piece of cardboard here, and I've torn half of it off already. And I'm going to tear off this other half because all I want is this middle part. This is going to be big enough to be able to make the paddle with. Whoop. So I'm going to tear that off. And then I have a pair of scissors. And I'm just going to trim the outside. If you have an X-Acto knife, or if you have an older sibling or a parent who can help you with this, then that would probably be helpful, because an X-Acto knife would work better, but they're a little bit more dangerous. So just going to pull some of the scrap off. I'm not too worried about pulling all of the scrap off because the paddle is just going to come down the middle like this. So we're not going to use the whole cardboard. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw out our paddle, okay? So as we can see here, the top part is rounded, and then it gets skinny for the shaft, and then it gets really wide for the blade, okay? So that's what we're going to try and draw. So we're going to draw. This is just a rough sketch. You don't have to copy it to be exactly like this when you're cutting it out. But this will at least give you a rough idea of how you want to do it. So there's our butt. There's the top of the paddle. And now we're going to come down like this. And I'm using a Sharpie just because it's a little easier to see than if I were to use a pencil. But you can use a pencil if you want, okay? There we go. So now we have our shaft. So it goes down a little ways. And then we need to make our blade. And you gotta remember, the blade comes out. It doesn't go straight down. Kind of like a spoon. You're kind of like drawing a spoon. And around like that. There we go. There's the shape of our paddle. So now we have to cut it out. And now this part is tricky. So if you have an X-Acto knife, I would trim the outside away. You could cut it all the way down, but because all I have is scissors, I'm actually just gonna cut it a little bit and then rip it. And this part is also a little hard. If you have a slightly softer cardboard, then it might be a little bit easier. But what I have here is not very soft at all. Just gonna trim around that. Okay. And now we're gonna use the part that we drew as sort of our guideline in forming this paddle. So you can see I'm not quite cutting on the line because I didn't quite like how my line was on this side. So I'm going to cut it a little bit wider. I'm going to cut back in towards the middle. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. And you can cut off, the chunks of cardboard as you go along. That might make it a little bit easier if you make a big paddle like this, because your scissors will start to get stuck a little bit if you're using scissors. If you're using an X-Acto knife, then you don't have to worry quite as much. And the one thing you want to be careful of is that you don't rip your cardboard, because here you can see over here, I ripped the top part a little bit. So it's not going to be quite as pretty because I ripped it. So it's going to be a little bit floppier. All right, I'm going to cut around the bottom, the blade. Well, the nice thing about cardboard is it's a little bit floppy, so you can manipulate it. You can change the direction that it's going a little bit more easily than you could with real wood. You were making a real wood paddle. All right. Now, here's my paddle. So on this side, you can see all my drawings, and as you can see, I didn't quite follow the lines. I went a little bit wider in some places. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Not all paddles are perfect. But then this other side, I can now draw on. So I made here a smaller canoe, or a smaller paddle, and on it I did some things that reminded me of camp. So nature and trees and the sun and canoeing, and I put NPC on the shaft. So this is an example of something else you could do. Your paddle doesn't have to be this big. It can be this big. But this is a really fun way to continue to stay connected to camp and to help remind you of things that you're looking forward to next year. Thank you so much for watching Girls Camp. I look forward to seeing you soon.